This is Mandi Lockley on behalf of the Astrological Association. This is our regular Insta Live where we talk about the current astrology. Today I'm going to be talking about a few things, but mostly I'm going to be talking about the full moon in Sagittarius on Sunday the 31st. So that's going to be a really exciting full moon, and before we get into that, there's something else that's happening on the 31st, on Sunday the 31st of May, which is exciting. So I have a couple of announcements to make. First of all, our conference, the Astrological Association conference, will be held in September 17th to the 20th September in Nottingham. It's also a hybrid conference, so if you can't get to Nottingham in the UK, then you can join us virtually with an online conference. And the reason Friday 31st of May is important, Sunday the 31st of May, the reason that Sunday 31st of May is important is because it's the last day to claim generous early bird discounts on the conference. So if you're interested in coming to the conference, if you're planning on coming to the conference, if you can book on or before the 31st, before Sunday this week, the discounts are up to £200. So it's a really generous discount. As I say, it's in Nottingham. We had an absolute fantastic time at this particular venue last year, and by popular demand we're going back there. It really is a fabulous venue that's got everything, fantastic food, it's got a spa, not to mention the brilliant astrology that we're going to be sharing, some amazing speakers all lined up. So that's the conference. Do look at astrologicalassociation.com to see all the discounts and all the details of the conference and how to book. Another thing as well, another announcement quickly before I get into the current astrology, is the Astro Duets. If you are a member of the Astrological Association, you'll be getting the Astro Duets for free as part of your membership, as a bonus, as a benefit of your membership. It's a two-header of two amazing astrologers. This time around it is going to be Rod Chang, who's chair of the Astrological Association, as well as accomplished and very popular astrologer Carol Taylor, and they're going to be talking tonight at 7 p.m. UK, Astro Duets. As I say, if you're a member, just log in, astrologicalassociation.com, log in, you'll find all the details there of how you can join. If you're not a member, you can still come along as well. It's welcome to everyone. It's a really nice way of connecting with astrologers. It's a way of being part of the conversation. It's a very relaxed event where everyone that participates is welcome to join in the conversation or just listen. If you can't join us live, 7 p.m. tonight, which is the 27th, Wednesday the 27th of May, as I'm recording this live, you can watch the replay anyway. As I say, if you're not a member, you can still go on our website, you can join. It's only £5. If you do decide to join the Astrological Association as a member, it's only £37. You get all of the Astro Duets plus the new watch parties plus the astrological journey 6 times a year, which is an amazing it's an amazing magazine. It's an amazing journal, some amazing articles. It comes out every 2 months. It takes 2 months, I think, to get through each issue. It's so amazing. Anyway, that's it. So hopefully you will join us for some or all of that. And so now let's talk about the astrology. Here is Rod. Rod has joined us. Hello, Rod. Rod is going to be priming himself, I'm sure, to talk about Chiron tonight. I forgot to mention it's going to be about Chiron going into Taurus, and in Taurus Chiron will be having the return of its discovery chart. So there'll be lots to talk about. Chiron is fascinating. We've known Chiron for a long time now, 1977, but it's not that long in astrological terms. We're still learning about her, and no better people to be helping you with that than Rod and Carol this evening. So where are we currently with the astrology? Well, The tension of the last couple of days has started to ease a little bit as the Mars in Taurus square Pluto has kind of started to ease. It's now sort of separating, so things have felt a little bit tense, if they felt a little bit hard work, then that's the reason why. If things have felt a little bit stuck, if things have been coming up in your energy, coming up in your field, coming up in thoughts, or things that have happened that have felt like not quite how you'd want them to be, that kind of energy is going to be getting a little bit lighter. It's already starting to get a bit lighter. It was accompanied by this Mars Pluto, it was accompanied by the Sun in Gemini in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius, which eased it a little bit, gives us the chance to see what Pluto and Mars shone a light on in our lives so that we can kind of work through it. Certainly it was and still is a time, if we need to if we can let go of some of our grudges that we might be holding, some of our past hurts, and an opportunity to find a little bit more clarity and perspective. Tend to our feelings as well. It's always useful to attend to our feelings, but certainly when the strong but short-lived aspects with Pluto, whatever sign Pluto's in, but certainly in Aquarius, that's about how we connect with other people. It's an air sign. It's about fairness and equality. It's about the common people and how the common people feel, and we're all common people in a sense, and we all have our small lives and our big lives. So if there are things that have come up that you need to sort of just let go of, you can do that as these energies start to separate, as they start to ease up a little bit. Then on Friday the 29th, we have another short-lived but slightly sort of tense aspect in the sky, which is Venus in Cancer square Saturn in Aries. Now this is cardinal energy, whereas the Mars Pluto was fixed energy, which arguably is more difficult to sort of trudge through, whereas cardinal energy is more faster moving. It wants faster resolve, faster solutions to problems. Even though Saturn is part of the picture, Saturn is still in Aries, so Saturn might feel like it's slowing you down, but Saturn is also teaching you to have patience and to take action when the time is right. Saturn's all about timing, Aries is all about action, and it's all about trying something new as well. So how can we work with this Venus in Cancer, Saturn in Aries energy? Well, as I say, if we feel stalled or blocked, particularly if it's something to do with relationships, because it's Venus here, whether it's to do with our self-esteem, our values, even our finances, Venus in Cancer wants comfort and safety. It wants to feel comfortable and safe. So again, this is another way with this square with Saturn might make us feel like we don't want to take action, but there's that push to take action. And often with a square, the squares in particular, they kind of can force us to do something about whatever it is we need to do something about with, if you know what I mean. So there's an urgency here, and there's also the need for patience. So fast, swift action might not immediately bring swift, fast results. So there's that kind of frustration, I think, inherent in this, and this can come out, as I said, because it's Venus, it can come out in our interpersonal relationships. Cancer likes to feel safe and comfortable. Cancer doesn't really want to be with people. It doesn't feel they're in their safety zone, in their comfort zone, a part of their clan or their sort of so-called family, whether it's real family, you know, blood family, or the family they've gathered around them. So there's a little bit of sense of needing to be assertive, perhaps in relationships, or to do with problem solving, anything problem solving to do with the Venusian themes that I've talked about, whether it's security, money, whether it's values, whether, you know, are we being asked to do something that is doesn't quite vibe with our core values, for example, or in a relationship there's a little bit of tension there. Maybe we feel a little bit blocked in going forward with the relationship. Maybe we feel there's a sense of someone being in authority and sort of pushing us outside our comfort zone, bossing us about a little bit, or easily you could be the one doing Saturn as well. So there's assertiveness is required. It's Aries after all, it's cardinal energy after all, but I would say it's a gentle assertiveness. Be gentle and be kind to ourselves, and be gentle and kind to others. And then we have, of course, as we know, the sun is in Gemini. The sun is early in Gemini, and Uranus is in very early Gemini. So the conjunction between the sun and Uranus in Gemini is separating at the moment. It's separating now, but there is still that sense of this Gemini feeling. We've got Mercury towards the end of Gemini as well. So we've got this Gemini energy coming in as well. It's still going to be with us for a little while. So this is about lots of things. Gemini is the storyteller of the zodiac, isn't it? Gemini sees the detail. Gemini is about gossip and rumor and connection and communication and trade. It's about commerce, about all those different things. Don't be surprised if there are interesting, shocking, surprising conversations going on at the moment, whether that's in the news, in the media, or in your private lives, in your personal lives as well. Also inspiring and exciting and surprising connections, new information. It's like information overload. I mean, this world at the moment, it's information overload, everything at our fingertips all the time. You know, Uranus is associated with technology and AI and Gemini. It's about the spread of it as well, and so much information. So I think with Gemini, there is the sense of needing to be discerning, needing to understand what our own truth is. And Uranus is very much about truth and what our truth is, what our own personal truth is. So if we can be discerning with all the information that we hear, perhaps we hear a gossip or a rumor. And I love, there's a saying that gossip and rumor is not usually very reliable, right? But there's a saying that a lie or an untruth can get around the world. It's halfway around the world before the truth has even got its socks on, you know. So that's something to be aware of. That's a nice analogy, I think, for being discerning, to understand that facts aren't always facts, you know. I think facts are often ideas and opinions, and we're certainly seeing this with the Gemini energy at the moment. And then we move on to the Sunday the 31st. I've already talked about Sunday the 31st. Don't forget to claim your discount for the astrological conference in September by Sunday if you're intending to come, or if you're thinking about coming. But also it's a full moon in Sagittarius. It's actually what's called a blue moon. That means that there will be two full moons in May, in the month of May this year. That is the beginning of May, we had a full moon, and then on the very last day, the 31st of May, there's also a full moon as well. Now, from my point of view, there's not a lot to say about that astrologically in terms of astrological themes. For me, it's a calendar thing, simply because the lunar month is shorter than the calendar month. So there will be at least 1 month in the year where we will have two full moons at the beginning and at the end of a month. That's all. You may have other ideas. You may feel there's a deep astrological theme in this. And I'm, you know, we're in Gemini at the moment. I've got a bit of Gemini in my chart. I'm here to be convinced if anyone has an idea, but that's my current thinking on that. But we've got Sagittarius, the moon in Sagittarius is full, and it's obviously opposite the sun in Gemini, and it's, as I've already said, the moon is at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So the full moon is about fruition, it's about peak experience. It can feel there's a sense of completion as well in the full moon, although remember the full moon is only the halfway point of the monthly lunar cycle. So while it feels like a completion, it's more like a peak of experience, where the seeds we might have planted at the new moon, whatever they were, we can now see more clearly, because it's the full light of the moon. Things are exposed. Full moons are associated with fun. Of course they are. They're associated with us being more sociable, and particularly with a full moon that is ruled by the sign of Sagittarius. So, as I say, I've already talked about sort of some tense stuff that's been happening. This Mars, Pluto, this Venus, Saturn, it all feels a little bit possibly gloomy. So there's a chance here really to have a little bit of fun on this full moon. There's an injection perhaps of optimism, of hope, of enthusiasm. Sagittarius is also about faith. It's about taking a chance on yourself as well. It's about seeing where you might look at things during this full moon and say, oh, I could have put a bit more energy or passion into this. I could potentially put a bit more enthusiasm into it. I could go a little bit further with this potentially. Now, with a Jupiter ruled moon, we can go too far, of course, but it's pretty much, I would say, quite a benign, as full moons go, it's quite a benign full moon. So let's try and enjoy ourselves, find a little bit of freedom for ourselves, letting go of some of these worries. I mean, Gemini, for example, Gemini can be about worries because there's so much going on with Gemini. The Gemini mind, and it's juggling things, it's the trickster energy. We can end up feeling a little bit confused with Gemini, a little bit, we don't know what direction to go. Our energy can feel scattered, and that's the sun in Gemini as part of this full moon. But what Sagittarius offers us is perspective. It offers us the perspective to see, to sort of take a step back and look at the broader horizons, look to the broader horizons, look to the bigger perspective. So we don't get bogged down in the weeds there. We can actually see the wood for the tree, so to speak. Or is it the other way around? The trees for the woods. we can see beyond the little details that might be kind of wearing us out a little bit. So contemplating on the positive things. I think a great practice for Sagittarius is when there's any strong Sagittarian, particularly a lunation, it's a great time for doing a bit of a gratitude practice. We can do that any way we like. We can feel gratitude in our heart if we're sort of sensory, or we can just write down our gratitude. We can share our gratitude with other people. The small things, we have got Gemini in this full moon, of course. The small things are just as important as the large things, and there's lots of science, there's lots of research that says that gratitude can really help with your health and your emotional regulation as well. So I think this is quite a positive full moon that we can take advantage of. We can change, there might be perhaps that new perspective that I talked about, might be change in attitude, slight change in attitude where things have been getting a little bit negative. We might suddenly think, oh, okay, that's not so bad. There's a different way of looking at these things. And when there's a different way of looking at things, then there's a different way of dealing with things if we're talking about problems that we're needing to sort out. But mix, mingle, have a little bit of fun. It falls on a Sunday. It's a weekend. It's spring. I mean, although it feels more like really hot midsummer here in the UK, we've got very high temperatures here. But there's an optimism there. The sun is shining at the moment and it's really beautiful energy. So really try and enjoy that as well. And then there's more good news coming in early June. On the 9th of June, Venus is in Cancer and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter also in Cancer. So there's a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, which again is a nice energy. It's at 25 degrees of Cancer. So it's beautiful, beautiful energy. It's energy that gives us more self-esteem, more confidence, more hope, more faith, right? It's energy that makes us feel more comfortable, where we can kind of relax a bit and enjoy our relationships, enjoy the things that we love. Venus is about, where Venus is associated with finances, associated with our assets, it's associated with our personal assets as well. Those qualities in us that we really value and that others value in us. It's also about, when it's about finance, it's about the things we spend our money on. So things beautiful, you know, this is the suggestion here of this, the beautiful home, the ideal place to relax, the ideal place to connect and communicate and to look after ourselves. It feels like quite a harmonious, or at least it seeks harmony, this Venus-Jupiter connection here on the 9th of June. Might be a good time because it's obviously the start, it's a conjunction, so it's obviously start of a new Venus-Jupiter cycle. So it's great for starting a new project, a creative project, or even an educational project. It might be good for travel, you know, dream up a new vision. Jupiter and Sagittarius as well, as we've already been talking about the Sagittarius full moon, are both about having a bigger vision. So think these new creative projects that we might be starting under this conjunction, or in the energies of this conjunction at least. Perhaps it's time to think a little bit bigger, to be a little bit more ambitious, to be a little bit more taking a chance on yourself. Dream up a new vision. And then shortly after that, I think it's the day after this this Venus-Jupiter conjunction, we have Mercury square Saturn. Now that feels like pouring a little bit, might feel a bit like pouring cold water over things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that, because when you have these ideas, you have these grand visions that come with this Jupiterian energy, with this beautiful Venusian energy. You also have to ground them in reality. How is that going? Okay, I've got this great vision. I've got this, whatever it is. Creativity can be anything under Venus. It doesn't have to be the things we think. A lot of us say, "Oh, I'm not creative," but we create every day, right? So it can be anything where something's produced, or where there's an idea that's put into action, put into reality. And I think this Mercury Saturn square that comes off the back of the Venus Jupiter conjunction is very much about, how do we ground that into reality? How do we make that reality? What are the practical steps that we need to go to? So we can make the most of that, even when we look at Mercury Saturn. Mercury Saturn is about having the discipline to work, to learn, to communicate, to put things into action. It can kind of block, it can sort of say, oh, I don't want to do that because I might be putting myself on show, or whatever it is. But it also brings that discipline, a disciplined mind to plan and to, because it's a cardinal square, of course, don't forget cardinal energy as well. So we can really use that energy beautifully. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend when it comes. Enjoy the rest of the week. I hope you've got some fantastic plans so that you can enjoy this Sagittarian blue full moon. And for now, lots of love and saying goodbye. Cheerio. Bye.